Hi, everyone. I am Troy Paolantonio, and I'm so excited to be interviewing the amazing Nina Assimakopoulos. We're here on Be Live TV, but Nina Assimakopoulos makes me live for all the madness that she brings. She is absolutely amazing. In my book of things, she is hashtag the Nina. That's a capital the and an Hashtag the Nina. Right, Nina? But basically, I'm Troy Paolantonio. I'm one of the flutists in the Army Field Band, and Nina and I have managed to encounter each other in this wonderful life. And we're going to go into some things about her. There's this wonderful quote that was spoken about her, and this quote is: "In the hands of Nina Assimakopoulos, the flute is a kite, a nymph, and a bolt of lightning." So this is something that someone else has said about you. But what I would love to know, Nina, is what do you, in your own words, feel like the flute is in your hands?
Well, first of all, hi, Troy.
Hi.
Hi, man. High five.
Okay, we are high fiving all the way here.
Awesome. It's awesome to see you. And I love your energy so much. I'm really excited to hear what your questions are, And I know we're going to have fun. And if you're checking this interview out, it's bound to be one of the very best ever. So the question was what? What was your question?
So what do you feel like the flute is in your hands?
Okay. So yeah, well, it's certainly an instrument for my voice. It's an instrument for beauty. It's my muse. Yeah, it's like it's been a lifelong partner. It's the journey with the flute has started when I was 11, and it's taken me all over the world and allowed me to meet people and make music. We've had ups and downs. The flute has just been truly an amazing lifelong partner. And the bolt of lightning and the kite and all of that, yeah, it's helped me soar and fly. And it's brought fire and passion and beauty into my life and allowed me to express those aspects of myself with audiences and touch people's lives. And and in terms of the journey thing, I'm actually remembering right now something that somebody said to me, which I've thought about in relationship to the flute. And that is this lady who's an older mentor in my life. She said to me, Nina, I've only been married to one man, but we've had 15 marriages. And yeah.
Oh, yeah. It makes you go, hmm.
Yeah. And when she said that, I was like, yeah, and I was like, that's how it has been with the flute. It's been just this beautiful gift that has just taken me through life. I've taken it through life. And, we've had to reinvent a few things and keep things exciting and spicy and interesting. And so that's where some of the adventuresome stuff that I do comes in. But it's been a beautiful, beautiful life partner.
That's wonderful. And just like a relationship, everything that you put into that partner comes back, and it's just been like that with you because everything that you put into the flute comes out like magic to all of us in your audiences and everyone who enjoys what you do. So thank you for doing what you do. And since we're talking about this relationship with your flute, I would love to know, when did that relationship begin for you? And rumor has it that you and I have similar instrumentation lives here. So of course we're both flutists. Everybody knows that. But both of us also play the fife. So tell us all about when you started this relationship with music and with playing the flute and the fife.
Yeah, well, you're like one of the few people on the planet who knows that I started with the fife. So yeah, so well, first I think I'd like to say that from the time as early in my life as I can remember, I wanted to just create and be a performer. And I didn't know what that was when I was younger. I just knew that when my parents had friends over, I was like always wanting to make music for them or dance for them, and and just kind of delight people and self-express and you know, kind of be in my body and explore sound. And so I think I've just was definitely born 100% a performer. And my my first instrument was actually the guitar, and we were pretty heavy churchgoers, very regular churchgoers, and so this would have been like in the 70s. And so I begged for a guitar because I wanted to just invent and sing Jesus songs like that.
Yeah,
That
music is stringing you along.
I was just like into Jesus songs, you know, and I just, so my parents actually, because I guess I was kind of cute, took me around to churches, and like I got to go up during the offering, you know, when they had to give money, and there was me, little 7-year-old Nina, like playing the guitar and singing about my love for Jesus, you know, at the age of 7. And then at my elementary school, there was an after school program, a fife and drum program. And that's where I picked up the fife for the first time. So I got the opportunity to, you know, and I think something just about, you know, infusing an instrument with your breath was definitely exciting. And the fife was light and easy. But in terms of the flute, I have a very distinct memory of when, you know, love struck me for the instrument. And that was before we picked our instruments for band. We were taken to a high school band concert. And I remember sitting up in a balcony and looking down, and there were all the instruments warming up and squeaking away and doing their high school band thing. And I saw, like, right across the front, this row of glistening silver things, the lights darting up and down and shooting and blinking. And I was like, I don't know what that sounds like, but that is my instrument right there.
Yes, it was. And I guess that's why it is a lightning bolt in your hands, because something that perfect only strikes once, right? Well, you definitely have struck into all of our hearts with what you've done with the flute. Was there anything else you wanted to add on to that beginnings of you with the flute?
Just that I knew, and I feel very grateful for this. I knew at the age of 11 that I was going to dedicate my life to becoming a flute player. Like, and I realize now, after raising 2 kids and working with so many people, that that's like really unusual to be that young and to be struck with such incredible passion. And, you know, the moment for me there was when somebody gave me a James Galway record, and I put it on, and my parents had these huge speakers. They were like literally as big as refrigerators, or maybe I was so small that like it seemed like, you know, and I to put the record player on, and I'd run up the stairs to this like loft that we had, up this like one of those like spiral staircases. So I was like trying to get up there fast, and then I would like take my ear and put it right against this huge speaker, and I was like, and I couldn't get close enough to the sound. And I had no idea when I picked the instrument what the flute could do until I had that record. And that's what it was like, this, whatever this is, this feeling in my heart, that was it. And my life journey was born.
Wonderful. Well, since we were talking about beginnings, let's go into when you and I first met, which this was a place where we've come back to several times, but the Mid-Atlantic Flute Convention. I remember coming to your class on contemporary techniques, and that was one of my favorite things too, of course. So I think we were destined to be 2 peas from the same pod for this whole entire time that we know each other, right?
It was definitely love at first sight. It was total kindred spirit.
Oh, yeah. So eventually I became the program chair for the Mid-Atlantic Flute Convention, and it has been such an honor to be someone that can invite and accept your flute studio to come and perform at our convention, because your flute studio at West Virginia University is known for its fire and its energy and being on the new front cutting edge of things for incorporating all that you can into performance. And so when the Flutes on Fire concert is on a program, you know people are going to show up because something new, something exciting, something with a lot of energy is happening because of what you do with your studio. So tell me, or tell all the listeners here, what is it like when a student comes to your studio at West Virginia University? What is it like infusing that fire into a new student?
Okay, great question. Well, so first of all, the fire's there somewhere, right? It might just be a little flicker. So, yeah, I don't know that I infuse it, but I would say that, everyone who I recruit and who comes and who's drawn to auditioning for the studio and really is passionate about coming, they're already aware of what's going on, for the most part. Some of them might not 100% be, but and so I think that it's just about, first of all, noticing where people are at. I have students who have maybe no exposure to contemporary extended techniques or no exposure to even moving their bodies while they play, and some who maybe have seen it and are curious about it. But I would say for the most part, if the spectrum is from 0 to 10, everyone tends to come in around the 0-1 line. And then it's about, well, how far are we going to go with this? Are you just going to just loosen up a little and explore? Or are you going to go full blown crazy and wear a mask and, choreograph a piece entirely and, create something that's really out there? So it's really about kind of figuring out where the flame is and how it wants to be tweaked. And then I would say ushering that along, kindling the fire, stoking the fire. I've never seen a fire that needed to be put out yet. So I challenge somebody from out there to maybe come to the studio and see if I want to put anything out. But, I think those flames are beautiful. And it's really inspiring to me to see people come out of their fear and out of a place of curiosity and then enter this realm of just creativity and self-expression and challenging those fears of well, I don't know if I want to do this, and finding their courage and finding their voice and just seeing so much creativity happen. So it stokes my fire.
Well, I have the same response to that too, because I know seeing the reactions in audiences when they experience your students performing, and also, of course, you, is that something special on the inside. It may not exactly be the movement, it may not exactly be that particular newly commissioned piece, or it may not be the whole choreography of things. It might just be that some energy has been tapped into by seeing that kind of force brought out in the people that you work with. And that's just one of the most special things about you, because like you said, you find whatever the energy is inside someone, harness it into what's going to be good for them on that scale of 1 to 10, wherever it's most natural for them. So I know it's inspirational for me as well. So thank you for what you do with your studio. And speaking of things that I remember you for, one of my most memorable performances of yours was pretty recent. It was at the 2020 Mid-Atlantic Flute Convention, where we did a very, very large tribute to Catherine Hoover, who just recently passed away. And you did an absolutely stunning performance of Catherine Hoover's Winter Spirits at one of our finale concerts, which was a big tribute performance for Catherine Hoover. Her family members were there. We had someone there that was playing on Catherine Hoover's previous flute, and you were there to bring this absolutely wonderful performance of Catherine Hoover's Winter Spirits. And performances like that, they help to shape who you are as a musician. And so I'd like to ask you, with certain life experiences that shape who we are as musicians, what is an experience that you've had as a person in an audience that has shaped you as a musician?
Yeah. So, well, I can talk about what I would like most to talk about is this incredible experience I had when I was like 21. So the story goes like this. I was living in Munich, Germany, studying with Paul Meisen, who passed away 8 weeks ago, my incredible mentor. And I was there on a Fulbright. I was living the dream. I'm practicing 7 hours a day. I'm riding my bike through the city with like a baguette sticking out of the basket, scarves flowing. I'm like, everything about what I was doing there was literally my vision and my dream, because I'd wanted to be there. I'd actually wanted to go study with him since I was 14. So, and I'm practicing working on details and just super concentrated on all of this. And then this opportunity came up to perform for, be part of an organization called Live Music Now, and they're actually in the United States now. And this was an organization that Yehudi Menuhin had set up after the war to bridge tension and between countries, and also to provide people who are in underserved communities with the opportunity to hear classical music. So here I am, right? Concert stages, conservatory training, all this stuff. And I start to perform in refugee camps, asylum houses, hospice places with people with tubes coming out of them. And it was incredibly powerful. So I'm taking, for example, I take like a Mozart, a piece by Mozart, where I trained the piece, performed it in concerts, done the bowing, all of this stuff. And suddenly this piece is in a different setting, and it's being played for people who were displaced. You know, at that point, there were a lot of people from the Congo, I think, who were in Munich because there were some wars going on, and people seeking asylum after leaving, you know, after the Iron Curtain fell, from certain countries, Romania and other places. And it was powerful. So, well, I guess I'll just pause for a second and see if you want to riff off of that a little bit. I have a little bit more, but I mean, that was like, that's huge. You know, I'm like performing, and I don't even know if performing is the right word. I was just being a vessel. And
well, it's great how I love how you mentioned about the Mozart Concerto, where you've done all this preparation in the practice room and with your teacher, and the way that you play the piece. Here's these things you do with classical style and all this, and then it becomes something else when you're just trying to reach people and give them an experience and lift their spirits. And all that training goes to serve that. But in the moment when it changes, if you're doing it in a concert hall, or if you're doing it for, you know, people who are there who are going through the, the medical hardships, or they've gone through the life hardships and things, or you're just going there to lift spirits, it becomes a different kind of piece of music, and you play it in different ways for that too. And I imagine that was probably what meant so much to you when you were reaching those people in those situations.
I think so, and you can feel that energy. It's palpable. Like I distinctly remember this one performance where everyone in the room was like comatose, literally. We wheeled the harp in. It was my harpist and I were involved in this. We wheeled the harp in. We got it all set up. You know, everybody was walking around with these like radiation. All the nurses were walking around with these radiation signal things on. And I look around, and like the room is just filled. I mean, it makes me want to cry. It was so beautiful. The room was just filled with people lying in beds with like tubes, and they had like wheeled them all in. It was just like, and even just like the experience of trying to like, of feeling that, and then trying to just put yourself in a space then where you can harness it and give, and you're not giving for your attention. No one's going to stand up and clap if they're in a coma, you know. And so, what are you giving for? What are you giving to? And I think coming into contact with that power of like, yeah, I am a vessel. Like that's what I want to be. I don't want to be I mean, you want to be a performer, and there's a place for performance and performance practice and stage deportment and everything. But like when you come into the presence of that type of powerful performance energy, like you are just like, come take me anytime you want me, you know, just come take me away, just fill me and work through me. And so the reason I bring that story up is because it had a major impact on my ability to deal with what some people call performance anxiety. And because you can, once you've tasted that, you can carry it into every single performance, no matter what stage you're on, you know?
Yeah, and usually, well, I don't want to say usually and speak for anybody else, but I know that performances like that and experiences like that, those are the ones that remind me why I'm a musician. And I imagine there's a lot of that there for you because you remember the connection that you have with people, and it becomes not so much about the music itself, but how did it make an impact in the world. And those are the things that last forever, and why the music is also, timeless as well. So that's great.
I think another thing that's really kind of related is when you come into the presence of that kind of power, what you can take from it is this desire and this intention to replicate it and to continue to channel it. So it becomes like your mission on stage then, no matter again what stage you're on, becomes this, for me, it always has been this desire to touch lives with my music. And when you come into that kind of direct contact with it, the intention becomes a deeper thing than just kind of like an idea. Oh, I want to touch people's lives. I want them to love, music. And you can feel that energy in the hall, and you can actually create it as a performer. Like you send it out like a germ, like a little. It's like a flame, and then you create these like billows, and you stoke the flame through your pieces and how you migrate through the program. And you can feel that energy come back. You know that you're touching people's hearts. You know that people are in a special space, and then suddenly you're in this beautiful energy together. So I love that about performance, and that is, I'm really glad you asked that question because it's a very special story to have shared. And I did that for 2 years. It was
That's
amazing.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've been doing a lot of this for a large portion of your career, but speaking of special spaces and energy in the places that you perform, one of the things that I love following you on is the incredibly captivating locations that you go to perform, and you take your flute with you to go there. This life partner of yours that goes all the special places with you. And there is a certain kind of energy that seems to come from these different locations. And when you perform, sometimes there's people around and sometimes there's no people around, but there is an energy that comes from that. Tell us all about some of these special locations you've gone to and what it's like with the energy when you go to these places and making music with this life partner of the flute of yours.
Yeah. So I guess when I started getting a little crazy was with the rock climbing.
Oh, it's not crazy. You know, I love the crazy. This is normal time for us.
I love it. I love it. So, but that's when I was like, I had this passion for rock climbing, and it was being developed, and I was learning, and it was just amazing. Like you're on this rock, you're on a cliff, and you look down and you can hardly see anything, and you're in the middle of nowhere, and like this little ant goes across the rock, like it's so easy for them to climb, yeah. And these beautiful moments when you're on the rock, or these things that can happen in these spaces. And so I thought, well, I'm climbing, I'm not practicing. How can I, do something about making myself feel less guilty for not, being with the flute right now? And I was like, all right, I'm going to start climbing with my flute. So I created a special climbing pack for the flute. And we've done some climbs together. Like the first big one we did was the Mace in Sedona. It was it's like a 600-foot spire, and it was an extremely difficult climb. And at the top, you're on the spire, and the final move is to actually cross from one spire to the next. And I practiced this move for the longest time because I knew that it was going to be scary. And so what it is you're on this layer. If you were to look down, if you wanted to, you would see like a 500 or 600-foot drop. And you're supposed to trust and tilt yourself over and put your hands on the next spire. And it was scary. But anyway, I did that with the flute on my back. And we crossed
on the back. I had a similar thing when I worked at Busch Gardens. My first job out of college, I had a flute quiver, like an arrow quiver, and that was for my costume in the show there and stuff. And did you see the movie Free Solo?
Yes.
Yeah, so you were literally doing flute solo with your rock climbing. Go ahead and tell us the rest of it. I would love to hear the rest.
That'll have to be my first film, flute solo. Yeah. So no, so like it was pretty powerful. But what was interesting about that particular climb was when I got up to the top, the winds were at 45 to 50 miles an hour. And so that was my first experience with dealing with like that kind of current. And guess what? You cannot play the flute up there. So like I had this plan to go up there and like la la la, just do the beautiful, like, I don't know, Syrinx or some pan piece, and the winds were so hard that we had to lie down on the summit and keep ourselves low because like we would have been blown off. And so finally when they settled, and in fact, my flute case went flying. Like I went to assemble the flute and the case went, and my friend caught it. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I got up there and I was like, well, I'm not playing With Your Spirits Up Here. I guess I'll just beatbox because you can probably beatbox. So that's a memory. And I've done, I did the paragliding. You saw that, right? The video?
Oh, I was living for the paragliding and the flute playing. Yes.
So what was really amazing about that experience was that was in Slovenia, and it was in the Julian Alps, and so it was on the crest. It was in the Socha Valley, which is this amazing river valley, which we could get into some river discussion at some point. My mind just went bing. So I was like, I was eating some gelato. I was there for a concert series and a masterclass series, and I passed this little touristy thing, and it's like, go paragliding. And I was like eating my gelato with my flute, and I'm like,
why not?
So I walked in there, and like it's funny because like they speak more German there than they do English, and I'm fluent in German, so like, do you speak English? No. All right. So we spoke in German, and I was like, would you be willing? I said to the pilot, like, would you be willing to take me up there with my flute? It was amazing. So
just another day paragliding with a flute, just another day.
That was so great. So we set up an appointment. I went the next day, and actually just to kind of jump forward, the flight was a 50-minute flight, which he told me was like highly unusual for the thermals to be, that active. So we went up, and here I am floating above, and this is on YouTube somewhere. I think if you Google flute in the air, paragliding. And yeah, I have 50 minutes of footage, and we passed, one of the most amazing things that happened up there was as we were flying, we passed this wall of rocks, this area of the mountains with holes in it. And he said, this is a place where, I don't know the numbers, hundreds of thousands of people died during the war. They were hiding in those holes. And so he was telling me the story, and he was kind of like moved by it, And so I decided to play Amazing Grace, while we're like paragliding by this entire wall of holes where all these people had died. And that was interesting too, because the current was pretty strong. So he took his hand, I'll never forget this, his gloved hand, right? And he put it in front of me, and he's holding, and there's meters going off, and I'm like, and I played Amazing Grace, and I was able to do it because he covered the currents. It was a very powerful experience. So
yep, you had another partner there with you along with your flute.
Yeah.
That's
wonderful. Experiences, and it's just a way to keep, just a way to experience music in different ways and keep things exciting,
Yeah. Well, I know that you mentioned being in the deserts of Sedona, and that was one of the things that I felt like, since you had been to that place, when you played Catherine Hoover's Winter Spirits at the Mid-Atlantic Flute Convention, you brought that location and that energy of that special, unique place in the world to the concert hall for everyone to experience. in the ways that probably Catherine Hoover harnessed that into the piece of music itself. You could tell that something was radiating from you. And I imagine that's probably something that comes with these unique locations that you go with your flute. I mean, you've done the skies with the paragliding, you've done the deserts on the earth, you've done the Appalachian Mountains where things echo off the different sides of the valleys. I have to ask, so you've been basically everywhere. Where is it that you're going next? I think there's probably something pretty special, some special location you're going to next. Where is Nina Assimakopoulos taking us next?
Well, I don't always know what's coming up, but I can tell you where I've been lately.
Is
So
it
yeah,
something that is my favorite color that's blue? Is it?
you have seen those posts. Yeah, so I have taken the flute underwater.
Yes, she has. She's gone there. Yes, she has.
And literally, and I have not posted about this yet. I'm kind of like waiting. But I literally submerged a flute last week. Like I have this flute that I rescued from a dumpster because I wanted to turn it into a sculpture. And I was gonna like run over part of it with my car, so it like flattened out like a penny.
Like all of us want to do sometimes.
I won't mention like the brand of the flute or anything. We won't go there. But anyway, I was gonna like run it over with the car and flatten it and like create this really cool mobile that I was gonna hang. And I had like this vision, right? But anyway, lately I've been into water, and I don't think it will just be a lately thing. I think it's basically the rest of my life. And I'm working on this project called Hydrology, which will take me a year to finish. And one of the pieces is Deep Blue by Ian Clark. And so I'm working on underwater choreography. Like navigating that medium is just really complicated with fabrics and breathing and timing and camera placement and what movements look like. And yeah, so I submerged the flute, and wait for it because I'll probably post that thing tomorrow. You should see the bubbles coming out of the keys. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. So you're going to be America's next top flute nymph in the water.
America's top flute nymph.
Yes, yes. You are lifting us up when you're taking us under all at the same time. This is absolutely fabulous. Well, it is certainly great to know that you continue pushing the limits of the places that you're going to take us musician-wise, the people who are following you and enjoying everything that you do. And I imagine from this interview series, people are going to be learning a lot from you the same way that your students do. I would love to ask you what I feel like is my last question here. What is you've been a teacher and a mentor to so many people, and you radiate out things that people can take and learn from you as well. But what is one of your most memorable moments as a student being a musician and flutist?
Well, thank you for that question. First, I'd like to just kind of pay homage to both of my teachers. So I'm the only flutist in the world who studied with both Peter Lloyd and Paul Misen. I mean, like, it's such a unique combination. So Peter Lloyd, principal flutist of the London Symphony, and just like the king of orchestral flute playing, right, in London, and just he was like the flutist on all the early Star Wars soundtracks and everything. And so I had like the amazing honor to study with him at Indiana University, and it was an incredible experience. So I want to thank him. And then my second big influence was Paul Misen, who just passed away. And Peter Lloyd passed away a few years ago. Paul Misen passed away 8 weeks ago. And that was a very profound experience. I mean, I wanted to go to Germany and study with Paul Misen from the time I was 14. And I literally like made goals and visions and affirmations. And I would just like imagine myself in the airplane. I was really into like the psychology of achievement stuff that Brian Tracy was putting out at the age of 14. I was into it. And, I had this vision to just go and be there on a Fulbright and study with him. And it was truly incredible. So the memory that I'm going to pull up to share that comes to mind is right before a huge concert. you know, he had been at the pre-performance, listening to my warm-up, and, you know, kind of just being there for me. And so he comes backstage, and, you know, and Germans are not like huggy wuggy types of people all the time, not compared to Americans in terms of culture. And but he had this way of sometimes just putting his hand just very gently on your shoulder. But on this night, he took both of his hands and he put them on my shoulders, and he said, "Now I want you to go out there and forget everything I've told you."
Not something I would expect to hear from my beloved mentor right before this massive performance. Whoa, what
Yeah,
was that like for you?
it was just like, well, I understood what he meant. Like he was the type of mentor who he knew how to empower you and empower your voice. And I mean, I distinctly remember this moment because it was like, boom. It was like, yeah, like he trained me to now go be me, you know, and being me was the point, not him, not his ideas, not any confusion in my head or voices or now I'm supposed to do this. But again, just to be that vessel and to walk out there and just let go of everything and let the flow happen. And I mean, I have many amazing moments I could share, but there's one. It was really beautiful.
That is really profound. And I mean, anyone picking that apart can take a lot away from that. I know that I certainly do. That is all the questions that I had for you today. And it's been so great to hear, you know, even just this snippet of your legacy and who you are as a performer, teacher, person, mentor, everything, especially to get to talk to you as a friend. That is one of the biggest things I love here. So everyone out there, I hope you've enjoyed hearing from Nina Assimakopoulos, because that's what we call her.
You know, it's a good thing you don't have a tenure track job.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I might have to answer for this.
Yeah, we might not. Might have to snip that out of the post because you never know when it's going to
Sure.
get right.
Or if you want, you can just be hashtag the Nina with a capital the and a capital Put it out there on Facebook, put it on Instagram, put it on your Twitter. Just get it out there because everybody needs to hear about your Nina.
You have to put that hashtag because I'm not visualizing like what's capital and not. So like,
Okay. I'll send you a screenshot of it later on. It has been such a joy to talk to you. Thank you for asking me to be a part of this process with you. Mwah.
thank you, Troy. And yeah, I just want to say that, you know, I had all these questions come in, like 80 questions. And so I've picked, rather than just stare at the computer screen, but the ones that you dished out today were ones that you invented on your own. And it was really fun to.
Yeah, and one of them about that memorable performance experience that came straight from your list. So I'm glad that we can incorporate some of the viewers and responders in here too. It's such a great thing that you're doing with your platforms to you know, connect those that are interested in what you do and want to learn from you right into mediums like this. It's really wonderful.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Troy.
Thank you, Nina. Great to be here with you today.